Before we begin the video, if you want to play the map for yourself, just go to the link that's in the description. This is the download link. Click the download button, and then you need to find your Portal Reloaded folder, which will be in your program files, Steam Apps, Common, and then it should be Portal Reloaded folder. Go to the Portal Reloaded folder within the Portal Reloaded folder and find the maps folder in there. And then you just have to drag this new map, the awareness map, into the maps folder. Next, go into your Steam library and right click on Portal Reloaded and go to Properties. And then you want to go to Game Versions and Betas, and here you'll see multiple different versions here. The latest update that has the cooperative stuff in it does not work with the map, so we gotta go before the cooperative update, which is this version right here. And then you gotta launch the game. Now that we're in game, make sure you go to Options, go to Keyboard and Mouse, and make sure you allow the developer console. You can then use the toggle develop console button, which defaults to this, and this makes the console come on. So here it is, and we just gotta type in map and then the name of the map, and you just gotta press enter, and that's all you gotta do to play the map. So have fun, and I hope you enjoy it. Now on to the video. I have been making Portal 2 custom maps ever since 2014. Now, I was 10 years old in 2014, so these maps are of varying quality, to say the least. However, I made a lot of them, and I enjoyed doing it so much. And making these custom maps gave me a lot of experience, not only making puzzles for Portal 2, but also making puzzle levels in general. The thing is, I always wanted to make something bigger for Portal 2, and I just didn't know what it should be. Then, Portal Reloaded was announced. Portal Reloaded is a mod for Portal 2 that has a series of puzzles revolving around a new mechanic called the Time Portal. This portal allows the player to travel between the past and the future. Not only does the environment change, but you have to keep track of what you do in each time period. Making a change in the past is reflected in the future. This adds a huge new layer to the depth of Portal 2's mechanics, and I wanted to take advantage of that. Luckily, the creator of the mod said they would provide support for making custom maps with the mod. About a month after the mod was released, they made an official guide for how to make custom maps with Portal Reloaded. They included the necessary assets to get the time travel mechanics working in the map and provided instructions on how to implement those mechanics. When this guide dropped, I immediately got to work on making a map. I first designed a rough draft of the level in Portal 2's in-game level editor to get an idea what the map should look like. Then, I went into the more professional Hammer level editor to make the level. This was the first time I had used Hammer to make a level from scratch. This means that this is all new experience for me. However, I am very proud of the result. So, let's take a look, shall we? This is my custom Portal Reloaded map, Awareness. So this here is the map itself, and we're gonna go, I'm gonna be doing his live commentary style and just talk about it as I play through it. So here we are. Here is the map. I made everything in Hammer, and this was the first time I used Hammer, like I said. So there's a lot of details in here that wouldn't be present in your typical Portal custom map made in the editor, right? Let me go get one of these cubes here. So, all this had to be made essentially from scratch and placed manually. So everything is very intentional in terms of where I placed it and why. And there's a lot of small details. So the whole point of Portal Reloaded is that, you got two different time periods, and you got the present time period, which is this one, where everything is mostly intact and mostly clean. You got some rough patches here and there, like this. The floor here is a bit destroyed because but walk on it a lot of the time. So that's why that would be kind of wrecked, kind of destroyed. That was the thought process behind that. But if we go to the future, we can see a few things have changed. So I didn't go overboard with the aesthetics on either of these because this is my first map, and I also tried to keep it consistent with the base game. So that's why it's like there's not like a ton of foliage and stuff. Like there's some overgrown maps for Portal 2 that are just wild and crazy, go crazy with the visuals, but not this one because like I said, it's the first time I ever did this. So yeah, but also the original game doesn't go crazy with its visuals, so I try to keep that consistent. Anyways, so a few details I want to point out. Well, first of all, the ceiling and how it's broken. How I had to make another layer at the top for that. And I think both sides are broken. Yeah. So there's like they each have like the old room at the top, so I had to do all that. And that's really interesting. This here, all these tiles are broken. And it kind of like disheveled. You can actually like fall into them a little bit, right? You can kind of see how you sink in as you walk across, because this is where like the cube would be falling. It'd be constantly hitting the ground here. So that's why it's all disheveled. This lift, there is no overgrown version of this lift. That's never used in Portal 2. Because I think these lifts are only used in the map editor, but I wanted to use it. However, I didn't want it to function in the future. So I made a little custom animation here where it does this little sparking thing if you try to activate it. And I'm going to show you one more difference through here. I wanted to point out how this doesn't work. So the fizzler on this side doesn't work, and it sparks occasionally. There's a few different sparks. And if you try to activate it, it just, closes in. Also in the future, there's no glass down there. And this is a grate in the past. It said, well, I guess there's grates in the past, not glass. So if you have not played Portal Reloaded, this solution might be very confusing because of how Portal Reloaded works. Anything you do in the present affects the future, but the things in the future do not affect the present. So if you move a portal to the present, it moves a portal in the future, but if you move a portal in the future, it doesn't move it in the present. And the same thing goes with the cubes. It goes to take a future cube and put it into the present, but not the other way around. So it gets a little complicated. But we're going to walk through it. So I place a blue portal up there for later, and we do not want that blue portal to move because we need it. So instead, we're going to place the orange portal over here. We're going to go into the future, rather, and now we're going to use the orange portal to move this cube over here. And we're going to go back to the present. The blue portal is still up there, so we can now go up to this area. Now with the cube in place in the future, the whole point of this thing being called awareness is to be aware of both time periods, specifically being aware that this cube is where it is in the future. So you can use the F button and Portal Reloaded to see the cubes, and I believe also the portals in the other eras. So it's right there, and we're going to want to get that cube. Because this is made of glasses in the future, we can't shoot a portal through here in the future, but we can do it in the past. And that will place a portal in the future, moving it in the future. And now that's the whole big trick to this puzzle, and what this whole thing was designed around. Being able to move something in the future from the past, which is pretty cool, I think. When we get up here, we can get a closer look at this foliage in the top room. You also see these cubes passing by in this air vent. This was so hard to make, and I don't think I did it properly at all, but, a little behind the scenes room here as a little catwalk and everything. And I always like buying these stuff in Portal, so. And then we have this. I could deactivate that for now. This is the second half of the puzzle, and this has two different solutions. In Portal Reloaded, sometimes you can end in either the present or the future scenario of a given chamber, and this ended up being one of those cases. So we're gonna go through the intended solution first, and then we're gonna go through the other one. So here we are in the present, and this is the only one we can actually move the cube in, because if you saw in the future, that's completely destroyed, we can't portal onto it. So we respawn the cube, and move it over here. And we did cube on the button to remove this laser field, but if we put the cube on the button, it also locks the door. So we have to put it on the button and to take it off the button without going down there. And we're going to be doing that by using the other cube. So we're going to go grab that. We're going to move it a little bit. And we're going to bring it to the present. Now both cubes are in the present. And we're going to put the future cube on the button. And now we have to get rid of it, and we could just do that by moving the present cube, which changes the location of the cube in the future, thus removing it from the present. Like I said, if you've not played this mod before, it's a bit confusing. But that's how you finish this in the present, but also it will be finished in the future. So here's how you solve it from the future side. So it's going to require a very similar setup to before. We will need the present cube once again, and it's going to have a very similar idea to what we did prior. But we'll be putting the future cube on the button instead. And then all we have to do is that we see where the cube with the present is, we have to get rid of it, and we can actually affect, the only way to affect the present from the future is using the time portal. And that's how you do it from this era. It's honestly a bit easier, but the other one is the intended method. So that was Awareness. What I'm pretty sure is the first Portal Reloaded custom map ever made. If it's not the first one, then it's at least one of the first. It was made very soon after its release, and yeah, I mean, I haven't seen another map from earlier than that. So unfortunately, the original video no longer exists, hence why I've made this video. So now it's publicly accessible once again, and there's a little tutorial on how to play it and the solution to it. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.